The most obvious hint is definitely the fact that the Titan prison for the elemental incarnates is the mini version of the last Titan logo. However, there is so much more to this really complex prison mechanism. New 10.2 documents confirm that the Emerald Dream is being controlled by the Titans, and it is likely just a mechanism, an illusion that is keeping Azeroth asleep in her prison, which is exactly why this was the first place the old gods have tried to attack. Furthermore, we got hints for how not only did the Titans create this prison, but they had allies like the Primus that helped them seal it with domination magic. The Titans might not have put Azeroth to sleep, but they imposed their structures upon it in order to maintain the Great Cycle, because this is order, this perfect universe balance suits them. Is this the vast conspiracy that Chris Metzen talked about, one that will challenge everything we know about Azeroth and the Titans? While playing WoW on PC is great, you can also check in on your characters directly from your phone. With this video sponsor, Awesome, you can control your PC with your phone completely free, as it is available for Windows, iOS, and Android. Check out my link in the description, download the PC version and the phone app, and just connect it. The free version itself is amazing, as you can control your desktop, transfer files, but the real deal is the game version. It has custom keyboards for various games other than just WoW, and you can enjoy AFK gaming at any time, anywhere with game sound. Make sure to use my code Doron to get 7 days completely free, only for the first 200 people. They also got a smart lock to turn off your PC at any time, as well as hot sales with up to 40% off on pro game versions. Check out Awesome. You must have already heard about this theory, so I don't want to delve too much into the obvious bit, which is the fact that the Primal Incarnate Prison is literally the exact same thing as the last Titan logo. However, I want to talk about how this mechanism seems to be way more complex than we had previously thought. You guys might remember that back on BlizzCon, Chris Metzen himself said that we will discover a vast conspiracy that stretches throughout the history of the world, one that will challenge everything we know about the Titans, their intentions, and the true nature of Azeroth itself. So this theory is actually not outrageous, because they already confirmed the nature of Azeroth and the Titans is a mind-blowingly complex conspiracy, and obviously the source of this conspiracy will be Azeroth, aka the World Soul of the World Soul Saga. Now, before we delve into the other connections of how Sylvanas was right that this world really is a prison and she wasn't talking about just shattering the sky, I want to really quickly talk about the Emerald Dream, which personally I think is just one of the prison mechanisms. Real quick, I'm not just speculating out of nowhere here. Recently, like 2 months back in 10.2, a document known as On the Nature of the Dream came out that I really feel like it slipped under the radar because of how breaking it actually is, and no one has really been talking about this. It essentially boils down to the fact that everything the Titans told us about the dream is BS, so pretty much you can just throw out the window the entire chronicle definition of what the Emerald Dream is. If you remember the lore, it was said that the Emerald Dream is something like the blueprint of Azeroth, like a version of Azeroth, what it would look like if the sentient beings didn't have their impact, just wild nature. It was, according to the chronicle, created by Freya on behalf of the Titan Eonar as this framework of life, like a look into wild nature and what she can learn from that to implement on Azeroth. Well, this new document tells us that the Emerald Dream is older than the Titans. In a conversation with the really ancient beings of the dream, none of them mention the Titans creating it, but they do mention the first spirits awakening. However, the Titan servants really wish for the dream to stay unchanged by any hand other than theirs, and in my opinion, I think they had conquered the Emerald Dream and repurposed it as yet another part of this prison mechanism. The document stated that the dream is not bound to just Azeroth, that it connects with the other realms we had to discover, and that upon the far reaches, the Life Pantheon can be found, aka the Life Titan, which is Elune. It also mentions that while Azeroth has been touched by all these forces, the Titans, the Black Empire, and everything, from life to death, she isn't just touched by them, but she may be the true source of all of these forces. Now, I know this can be a bit confusing, like what does this even mean? How can she be a source of these forces? But let me just provide you with really quick context. Now, you guys have seen the two cosmological channels, the Titan one and the Broker one. The Broker one is believed to be more accurate as it isn't as propaganda based. However, regardless, in both of them, Azeroth is in the middle, and they all mention a great cycle. The Broker lore for Shadowlands told us that the 6 cosmological forces at the start were chaotic. The first ones came in as the 7th and created a so-called Great Cycle. I would go as far as to say that they harnessed Azeroth as the source that would keep this cycle running, and it is essentially like one massive hamster wheel where all the forces are in a perfect balance. So life dies, final tunnels the Death Realm, the chaotic demons destroy, the Titans order, the light heals and creates, the void destroys and devours. However, long ago, obviously this mechanism started breaking, and now I think we're nearing the final destruction. I mean, in the ancient past, the Titans were defeated, so no one was actually ordering. That is why the Legion just destroyed almost every single planet in the universe. This is why the Death and Zobald recently also tried to gain Azeroth. That is why Sageras was after it all the time. That is why the Black Empire was created. That might also be the source of that light shard that we're going to see in Kazakar, potentially a light invasion. However, the real topic of this video is the Titans, and they had also attempted and almost entirely succeeded in this by creating their own Titan Empire on Azeroth upon the ruins of the Black Empire. Now just think about this logically. As beings of order, what would they do? Create structures, and guess what they did on Azeroth? They created sophisticated structures to serve their goals. One of the theories is that the point of these structures was to pump elemental Azeroth with arcane, essentially the same thing as the Black Empire had done with the Void in order to convert Azeroth, or they might have just created a prison so that they're the ones holding the keys and that none of the other forces can get to it, and this actually suits them perfectly because it maintains the order of the universe and they are the beings of order. What Azeroth really is super hard to say. I mean, we can only speculate. I think she may really actually be a slumbering world soul, and this entire sleeping world soul thing was created in the ancient past by the first ones, but the Titans came in and they built on top of that. This is supported by the broker documents, as they told us that the first ones are the true creators of the universe. The Titans only build on top of existing structures. The main evidence for this is the primal incarnate prison and the way it is actually shaped. Check out also the recent lore from Dragonflight. You will see that the primal incarnates will always say they were empowered by Azeroth directly. Well, when they got into a war with the Titan affiliated dragons, it was the Titan prison that we had recently seen broken, created by Titan beings. We had seen what the primal incarnate prison looked like, and it was exactly the same as the last Titan logo that was recently revealed. Someone even found the Azeroth globe from Karazhan that was surrounded by 3 rings that also looks almost identical. Now, another thing I mentioned in the previous video I made on this is domination magic and how the runes on the rings are identical as well. Quick, super low throwback, but domination magic was created by the Primus in the Shadowlands. Surprisingly enough, in Shadowlands we learned that the Primus had a secret ally that gave him temporal powers, which allowed him to revert back time and examine every possible outcome of a battle, which obviously made him incredibly overpowered. Guess who is the master of temporal magic that could provide such an insane superpower? Amantul, the leader of the Titan Pantheon and possibly the mastermind of Azeroth's prison. I mean, what do you think? Could this have been about her? Temporal powers for rune magic they could use to imprison Azeroth? Personally, I think this was an alliance of convenience, and also this entirely explains the split in Shadowlands and how it never actually made any sense back in the Shadowlands. I'm sorry to bring back Shadowlands lore, but it actually appears it's super interesting in this light, and it actually might make a lot of sense with this new context. Remember how all the time the jailer was talking like how he was betrayed by his own, but he never actually elaborated on what he meant? Obviously, he was trying to break this mechanism to get the Death Realm to win. I mean, this isn't a speculation, this is what the entirety of the expansion was about. However, the Death Pantheon probably wanted to keep the status quo, and they were kind of fine with this cycle. They knew that breaking it would bring only chaos, so they made an alliance with the Titans. Remember how we had found evidence that they were invaded by both the Void and the Light in the ancient past? Well, through this, they stopped this chaos. They even got the powers from the Titans that allowed them to defend the Death Realm. They would help the Titans keep Azeroth under their control and in a prison, and in turn, life would continue going into the Death Realm and fueling them. Remember how when the mechanism broke, the Death Machine broke, they experienced a drought and they had to actually sacrifice parts of their realm? I also think the Light was in on this alliance as well, at least a faction of the Light, and we may find a divide there as well with the fanatical and the more moderate side that is kinda okay with this great cycle. But there was something potentially like a Titan, Light, and Death triumvirate while everyone else was just trying to conquer Azeroth. Sargeras was like the jailer. I mean, he wasn't in on this status quo BS. He wasn't agreeing with this. He knew they had to conquer and not create a prison, which is what might have been the cause of the actual Titan Pantheon divide. So, unless the final goal was to convert Azeroth into a Titan, the entire idea was to keep the world in prison and under their structure structure, and now all the actual structures, the buildings on Azeroth make sense. Order suits the Titans. They like the Great Cycle because the Great Cycle is neat, it's structured, it is orderly, everything is just perfectly balanced, it kind of goes in their favor. However, in case they can get it under their control, they created a mechanism to blow the planet apart, so if there can be any order, no one is going to get Azeroth for themselves. So now we got this giant Titan prison we're living in, the heart of Azeroth, facilities, Ulduar, Uldum, all these places all over the world, Titan Forge, Titan Dragons, armies, and this here is also where the Dream might step in as well. They repurposed the Emerald Dream as a prison and bound Azeroth to their own realm. The way I see the Emerald Dream is like an illusion where Azeroth is actually sleeping that is holding her in place. Originally, this realm might have been what was the connection of all the forces and a part of this great cycle, but they might have built something on top of it, like how they had bound the elementals in the elemental plane. This way, Azeroth can't be reached to the Emerald Dream as an invasion point, so it is just in this linear little box that it is being held in. I don't know if you guys played The Witcher, but there was this fairy tale realm that kept the princess asleep and hid her. I think the Emerald Dream is something similar, and that is exactly why the old gods were trying to use the Nightmare, to use this as an entry point, because if they can break the dream, they can break the prison and they can get to the world soul. Now, this brings us to, at the time, the cringe line of Sylvanas saying this world is a prison, but now with this context it might actually make some sense. It is actually interesting. I think through Sylvanas, Sylvanas may have uncovered this vast conspiracy that we will soon learn about, and she realized it needed to be broken, but she ended up fighting on the wrong side of this, because Zolov wasn't trying to break this mechanism, he was just trying to take it for himself. He didn't care about life or Sylvanas or anyone in particular. However, I want to mention one super interesting hint from Shadowlands finale that everyone talked about. Not the what is to come that I always mention, but the broker dialogue that said, even though we had defeated Zoal, he's kind of worried that his BS that he had just pulled might have caused like a tiny crack in the pattern that will soon expand, and it will actually undo the entire first one mechanism. I think this here is a hint that something big may be happening. Maybe the first one mechanism isn't evil and we may try to maintain it, but we may instead be trying to break the Titan structures upon it so that we as the beings of Azeroth can be the true protectors of the Great Cycle, not the alien Titans. Thank you for watching. Check out the very likely return of Sargeras by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on ancient Greek colonies in Spain by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.